minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
We're live. That's what they tell me. And that sure beats the alternative, doesn't it? Welcome to your favorite daytime sports talk show, everybody. We're coming at you live here on the Game Plus Television Network. That is coast to coast across Canada and 32 U.S. states. Various other platforms. It's your boy RP here. Going to change things up. Going to throw you a curve or two today. We're very excited to welcome in hour two Craig Button, the director of scouting of TSN's former Stanley Cup assistant GM, but really excited to welcome Kevin the Medium to the program here. How lucky are we? Not just today, but tomorrow. How are you, Kev?
I am so good. Someone told me I had to change up my saying. You know, my saying is normally, if I'm so good, there should be two of me. So my new saying now is, I feel so good, it's like I just scored the winning goal in overtime for the Vancouver Canucks in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
You definitely needed a new one. Can you come up with a shorter one?
I'm just really
putting that out there. I'm just putting that out there. Okay, everybody, let's go. You know by now what we do. The Quick Six Show topics. We open with the big story. And when I said we're changing things up because I opened with the Blue Jays all week long. And they're wrapping up their series here in Florida at Tampa this afternoon. I'm opening with football, okay? And we're going to get to the CFL in a second because Kevin the Medium, that's his number one. But Week 3 in the NFL opens tonight. The Buffalo Bills look to flex their offensive muscles when they welcome the arch rival Miami Dolphins to kick off Week 3. I think anybody who follows the NFL knows that the Bills are 2-0. Josh Allen has never lost a Thursday night game. Their quarterback, he's 7-0. And here in South Florida, it's largely agreed upon this will be the last game for Mike McDaniel tonight, the coach of the Dolphins. He's gone from being called the professor. Everybody loved his quirkiness and his cool shades and all that. Now they call him Boy Wonder or something. They're like, just get out. So I'm going to flip this to CFL in a second, other than to say, and we'll spend far more time on this once Kevin adjourns, and it's just me and you, everybody. But this morning I'm watching ESPN, and across the bottom of the screen, the ticker says, is the Heat getting loud in Miami with the Fins at 0-2? I'm like, getting loud? It was loud last year when, before the sun went down on Game 17, the owner, Stephen Ross, sent out a statement saying they were keeping the GM, Chris Greer, and head coach, Mike McDaniel. They were ready to burn the town down then. That was last winter, the end of last season. Now they're on the cusp of going 0-3. My hairdresser, Melissa, wants to coach the Dolphins. Okay. Is the Heat getting loud? That's all I hear. So, yeah, we'll be watching tonight on Prime. And before we flip to the CFL in Week 16, that's why Kev is here. Do you have thoughts on the NFL? Because, bro, I can go on for days on it, but I just don't know how much you follow it.
I don't. And, I probably should try following it more, but I'm just so dang busy with my spiritual business and preparing for retirement. And there's so much going on that I just don't have enough hours in a day to actually watch any more sports.
I get it. You're one of those people. And it's funny. I met a guy, our boat captain on the weekend in the Keys. He's just become a father, 28-year-old guy named Angel. And he goes, I find I'm just not following sports that much. I said, hope you enjoyed the run. You're a young father now. It's over for like the next, for the next 15, 16, 17 years, if it ever comes back at all. So anyways, for hour one, Canadian topics. It's what we do here on Game Plus Television. We move more to U.S. topics in hour two. So, hey, what the hell? Why not? Canadian Football League kicks off Friday night, Week 16. And Riders not playing, so it always makes our poll very interesting. Because when the Riders aren't playing, people need to legit vote on the game of the week. And running it back to yesterday's poll, it's the Whopper is BC at Calgary. And because we got so many viewers in both places, Kev, can I hand you the baton and say, take me inside this Vernon Adams facing the Lions for the first time tomorrow night? Like, how big of a story is it? You got to meet him at Grey Cup last year. I think, we all love the guy. If you know him, you love him. How big of a story is it? Friday night, VA again. Yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest stories of the season. I mean, you've got two of the best QBs in the league going head to head. Add in the fact that the controversy, small quotation mark, that happened in BC with the quarterback changes. I mean, you just look at their stats going into this game. VA's at 64% completion. Rourke's at 68% completion. It's just been one team, yes, the Stamps are winning more, obviously. But when you're looking at just the actual two QBs going head-to-head with each other, this promises to be a barn burner. We could see a 1990s style throw the ball a million miles, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to be there live. I am excited about it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is this a late?
Yes.
This is a late decision?
Well, we were kind of talking about it, we being Jake and I, and we kind of put it all together yesterday, and now there's 8 of us going, and we haven't bought tickets yet. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do, because it's the only game we're going to go to this year here in Calgary, so we might make it a bit of a special occasion and do something cool with it, but I'll let you know tomorrow.
Oh, I'm excited for you. That's and oh, by the way, I mean, since we're sitting here, I opened the game notes. You know, it's my guilty pleasure, man. A lot of people have worse guilty pleasures than reading the game notes. Here's mine. The BC Lions lead the CFL in net offense at 421.8 yards per game average. That's the highest average since 2010. Okay, this is historic offense that the BC Lions are putting together, yet they could miss the playoffs. among all that, we talked about Nathan Rourke the last time you were on. He's now one of just 5 Canadian players to ever make 30 quarterback starts. He's 18-13 all time. Based on that offensive stat, the Lions didn't make the wrong decision, but that doesn't mean VA is going to be any less pissed off in the football game on Friday night, right? And I don't know, man. I feel like if I'm reading the game notes to people, it's like, am I reading like a business ledger? Do you find it as interesting, people, as I do? I think you do, Kev. Tyson Philpott is averaging. He posted the season high for receiving yards, 238 last week. Tyson Philpott, second highest in Montreal club history. Now, he's playing tomorrow, but against the Argos. There have now been 19 games where a Canadian player had 200-plus yards. This is the highest for Montreal since Hal Patterson's actually set a league record of 338. And there's far more. Rough Riders can clinch a home game without even playing this. Last week they lost and clinched a playoff berth. Now they can clinch a home game based on Saskatchewan. I'll get into this after the break. Okay, we got less than a minute here. But so anyways, the games mean a lot. Okay, yeah. And we're going to talk about them more when we come back. This is the warm-up, everybody. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. with special guest Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or SaskTIX.ca.
We're in the middle of it. We're in one. Okay, everybody. So pay attention because this is going to go fast with Kev. I just opened up the Western Dodge text line. I got people writing in here about what Brad Marchand said yesterday about the no state income tax in Florida is the reason he was able to re-sign with the Panthers. And I want to get Kevin's take on that because you knew Canadian hockey fans are going to be raging about that and they want our opinion on that. But again, the big story is football. I'm not moving off point two yet, Kev. We're going to do our picks here right now for Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral in Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Are you down with doing picks, Kev, for this week's game?
Always.
Okay.
That's what I do. The old man predicts.
I've moved off of – I love the Argos, and I think it's the pinball thing. Yes. But I can't pick them every game. I had them initially picked to beat Montreal Friday night at BMO, but they're down to their third-string quarterback. Montreal's got McBeth back. I'm moving off the Argos. I'm picking Montreal. Sorry, Argos fans. I know we got a lot that watch this show, but I'm picking Montreal to win in Toronto Friday night in almost a must-win game for the Owls if they want to finish at least second and clinch a home playoff game. I got Montreal to win in Toronto Friday. How about you?
You know what? It was funny because I did the same thing. I had originally in my head picked Toronto. And then when we did our show on Tuesday, I do my picks. And I went back and forth. And I actually ended up on Montreal as well. Just for the exact same reasons you just said.
This one's going to hurt you, I think. BC at Calgary. I'm taking Calgary. Calgary. I'm putting that out there right now.
If I was actually putting money on the game, I couldn't do this, but I'm not putting any money on the game. So I've got to stay with my Lions. Come on. I can't go against them. What's the key? Defense. We've got to be better defensively. We showed up last game. Bets with 4 sacks, team with 7. We need to do that again. And then we have a chance.
It's really hard when it's your team, isn't it? It's really hard.
And you're just like, I know what's going to happen, but I can't choose.
I'd have been shocked if you didn't pick BC. Okay, that's cool. And then Saturday, a doubleheader. Winnipeg at Ottawa. Talk about two teams that need a win. I see the Canadian press is going with Ottawa. I believe Ottawa is favored by the odds makers. I'm going to go with Ottawa to win at home, and imagine if they do, and the Bombers can't pull a win off there. But it's Ottawa for me. Maybe you don't agree. What do you got?
No, you know what? I think for these Crum, I believe Crum is back for Ottawa in this game. Brown. Winnipeg's just been, I'm going to use the word a disaster this year. It's they can't seem to keep anybody healthy, let alone the quarterback. So who knows? It looks like Caleros was dressed, but does he play? I don't know. I'm going to take Ottawa as well.
Okay. And then Edmonton at Hamilton. And that one seems easy for me to pick. I'm going to take the Ticats and my dear friend Bo Levi. Put an R down beside Hamilton. But how about you, Kev?
Man, we're so much alike. I think Bo has just been playing unbelievably. It's just incredible to watch him pick apart defenses. And he's not throwing those long balls like his last few years in Calgary. He tried to just bomb it. This year, he's just picking the defense apart and running the ball like we talked about last week. So, yeah, taking the Ticats. I think this one could be a blowout.
Producer Corey is, by the way, adding his name to those voting for Ottawa to win the football game against Winnipeg Saturday. He's from originally Ottawa. That makes him an Ottawan? What do you call it? What, Ottawan?
Ottawanian?
Yeah. He goes, it makes us boring. That's what you call people from Ottawa. Boring. Okay. I like it. BC Eric writes in, he says, the Lions going into the game with key injuries. Butler, Katoy not practicing. Starting tackle went down with ankle injury. Oh, you guys are already sandbagging. Why even play the game then, I guess? Hey?
Next man up. I mean, it's football. Next man up. It's sports. In any team, you're going to have injuries in the season. It's got to be next man up, and no excuses. None. Zero. It's too late. It's week 15. Excuses left in week 5.
I meant I was mentioning the boat captain on the weekend, Angel, turning 28 years of age and having a boy. And he said he hasn't been following sports anymore. I'm like, get used to it. Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, my daughter is 18 and just started at the U of A. I never really gave up following sports. Does that make me a bad dad? Yes. Yes, it does. John Ohm says Ottawa by a field goal. We're not getting fancy here with our picks. We do straight up. We're not doing – that's why I didn't write down the betting odds at all. Who wins the game? Because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. 902-518-3033. Well, we'll come back on all of these things. I opened up the text line for Western Dodge. Mike in Richmond, BC writes in. He says, I haven't been able to watch the show live lately. I only wish Mike Leach was still alive and coaching a team that the Raiders were playing. That would be the end of Tom Brady getting anything out of production meetings. So that's a topic throughout the day, which they're still talking about in the States. Kev, you see Tom Brady being allowed to own the Raiders, broadcast on Fox, and now help out the Raiders coaching staff too. Do you have a thought on that before I move on?
I don't understand why it's such a big story. I mean, he's rich. He can do both. I don't get it. I don't understand why it would be an issue. What does he have an advantage somewhere?
Absolutely. Talking to the other teams, which you do as a broadcaster, and then taking that information from all the other teams that you broadcast for on the Sunday and taking it back to the team that you own to give tidbits to the coaches, which is exactly what he's doing. That's the conflict of interest. That's what certain people in the know have been banging that drum about for a year. Like, how do you now everybody's seeing him doing it? And I feel like the genie's out of the bottle. What are you going to do now? You didn't know this was going to happen?
But on the other side, if you're the other team, you know this is going to happen. You're not going to tell them anything that's going to be forthcoming or is going to give them an advantage. At least I wouldn't. I'd tell the guy nothing. No comment.
Well, not now, I wouldn't think. Not now, I don't think they'll be telling him anything for sure. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the text line, 902-518-3033. He says, hey, Rod, if there were only 10,000 more John Candies, BMO Field would be full. The players really appreciate the roughly 15,000 that show up regularly. Okay, well, I hope there's a big crowd Friday. I didn't see what the crowd was last week for John Kennedy Day on Saturday. I did see the highlights. It didn't look like a full house, which is upsetting, but let's be honest, that was 34 years ago. It was 34 years ago.
We almost got through the whole CFL segment without talking attendance, Rod. We were that close.
I know, but it's always going to come up when you talk CFL, and I don't know why. Now into point 3. The American League East leading Toronto Blue Jays wrap up a 4-game series with the Rays this afternoon in Tampa. Tampa posted a narrow 2-1 win last night to end Toronto's winning streak at 6 games. Blue Jays starter Chris Bassett has a 1.69 ERA over 3 starts in September, but he hasn't won a game since July 23rd. I watched a little bit of the game last night. We get the Rays feed here, but then I saw online people bitching at the Blue Jays for losing. I'm like, come on, you guys. They lead the division. The league, they had won 6 in a row. If you're going to be pissed off when your team doesn't win every single game, you're going to have a really shitty life. Like, literally get over yourself.
They can literally go 50-50 for the rest of the season, and the Yankees would pretty much have to win out to catch them. It's like, they're up by 5 games, are they not? Or is it 6 games? 5 games. And it would be tough for them for the Yankees to catch them at this point. It's
sure.
Yeah. Just relax.
I guess save the bitching until the playoffs, when if they fold, which they have historically the last few years, then get mad. But anyways, moving on to point 4. We go fast. I told y'all it goes fast here. NHL players hit the ice today as training camps get underway across the league. The Maple Leafs will be without star winger Mitch Marner, who decamped, never heard that phrase before, to Las Vegas during the offseason. Toronto general manager Brad Treliving says the Leafs are turning the page and focusing on their team. I should tell everybody that Craig Button, TSN's Director of Scouting, will be coming up in hour 2 to talk about all of these things. And I guess I should jump to this. I'm going to get to your Canucks again, get your expectations, and the Flames because you live there. I'm going to Panthers training camp this afternoon as soon as the show is over. I'm excited about that. Here in Florida, Bill Zito, the general manager, said yesterday on Media Day that the Panthers are humble and hungry. And Brad Marchand, I'm thinking that a lot of people wished he wouldn't have said what he said, but he said, let's call a spade. I wouldn't have been able to sign here if not for the non-tax situation. We wouldn't have been able to keep the big three, Bennett, Ekblad, and Marchand, if that income tax thing wasn't a situation. This has been fought about for years. So Ryan Thomas, a former Regina Pat player who always likes to fight, texts in and says, you still think the no state tax isn't a thing, Rod? And I wrote him back because he's a Leaf fan on the Western Dodge text line, Kev. I said, so that's the reason the Leafs can't win. Dagnab. I knew it was something. Couldn't be that they're not good enough. Yeah, and he writes in and says, has nothing to do with the Leafs. But to say the no state tax isn't a thing is laughable, especially when the players are coming out and admitting it is. Well, I'll say this again. You can get up my ass all you want and bitch and moan, whatever. Gary Bettman said the exact same thing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Why don't you call the NHL offices in New York on the Avenue of the Americas, Tommy, and say the same thing to Gary Bettman. See what Bettman says about it. So the point is, so Marchand said it. I'm sure a lot of people wish he hadn't. But how much play is it getting up there, and what are your thoughts on it?
I heard about it. I mean, yeah, Marchand said it. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. It's not a hidden, oh my goodness. Of course, it's easier for Florida, any team in Florida, to sign a player because they have no taxes. You know, it's the same as here in Alberta. We don't have a sales tax. We don't have a provincial sales tax. So does that give the Oilers and the Flames an advantage? No. Come on. Does it give them an advantage? Sure. You want to change it? Run for government and cut the taxes in your state or in your country. Come on. I mean, that's just silliness. Watch the games.
Well, here's my thinking on it, and I wanted to get to this with you. I don't know how much time. We've got a few minutes in this segment. Not a lot. It's going to carry over to the next one. But okay, fine. Okay, the cat's out of the bag. You know, all that time I spent in Alberta, which is where I met you, and I spent a lot of time with Flames staffers, Flames people. They brought up the tax a lot about being a hindrance. And all I will say about this is, didn't hurt the Oilers when they went to the Stanley Cup final 2 straight years and all the way to Game 7 where they lost by 1 goal to that dreaded team that doesn't have state income tax. So is that the reason they're winning? What we're saying is it's not the reason that they're winning. And it's an excuse. It's whining. And nobody really does that better than Canadian hockey fans. I'm talking to you, Ryan Thomas, and everybody that you represent. Because again, if it was the reason they won, which is what I'm getting the sense that everybody thinks, why are the Dolphins and the Buccaneers and the Jaguars and the Rays not the best teams in their leagues? Like, my God.
It's silliness to even say it. I mean, if every team in Florida was the best in their league, then we could say that. They're not. Why are the Panthers winning? Because they put together a great team year after year after year.
Which I've talked about a million times. I mean, so Marchand said it. It's kind of an unspoken thing. Marchand has made a career of saying things probably that people wish that he wouldn't. And he's the kind of guy that I guess can get away with it. But, I mean, a 6-year deal. He said he never wants to leave. The guys love it here. But what I'll say again is for 30 years, this team was a joke. An absolute joke to the degree that people don't even want to talk about how bad the Panthers were. And I never heard anybody talking about it then. Like never. Ever.
Exactly.
Okay? And so anyways, we're not done with this. We'll be back. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. And, we'll be right back here on Game Plus Television.
country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
My word, things are going so fast. By the way, are you craving the famous Greek ribs everyone in Moose Jaw is talking about? Get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. I haven't talked to Johnny Yatridis if he's okay with them sponsoring our junior hockey report. I'm just going to run with it. WHL season opens Friday night, and as far as the teams that matter that they care about, the Moose Jaw Warriors, the pesky Warriors, are at Brandon. God's team, the Regina Pats, are at Swift Current. And Saskatoon is at PA. Go to WHL.ca for the full roster there. And we're going to continue along with our discussion here. I just can't believe how much the tax situation is discussed. B. Henderson writes in from Winnipeg. He says, you got to love this time of year. Leaves changing colors means hockey starts soon. Blue Jays making the playoffs is a bonus. Life is good. Are you one of those guys, Kev, that says this is the best time of year in sports?
It really is. And it's really weird here in Calgary. I mean, our weather has just been fabulous in the high 20s all week. So it's weird to be getting ready for hockey and not the Leafs haven't really started changing yet, but you can feel it in the air. There's excitement. I had stopped just down at my favorite little pub for a bite to eat last night, and people were buzzing about hockey. You can feel it. Flames talk here in Calgary. Lots of high expectations, I'll say. I was talking to a group of young kids, and they were like, we're going to make the playoffs, and we're going to have the best run ever. And I was like, I love preseason because anything's possible.
I know. Everybody's in first place. Everybody's in a good mood. Yeah, it must be nice to be around Calgary and have some positivity around there because there hasn't been for quite some time. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, exactly, Rod. The Florida Panthers were a joke for 30 years playing in front of a half-empty building. Now they're winning. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Florida with this run has gotten lucky. Cap rising and also adding the tax, even though we know it's there, it's more the salary cap. Penguins, Tampa had a flat cap in their runs. Oh, my God. Woo. Do you think the Panthers give a rat's ass what you guys think? You want to actually think they're lucky? They don't care. They do not care. You say they're lucky all you want, which, by the way, let me walk this back. This guy, Jeremy, wrote in yesterday because he's a Red Wings fan, and he was saying how Stevie Yzerman had to address a question at the news conference yesterday. Every team did media day. And some media in Detroit said, Stevie Y, if the Wings miss the playoffs, will you be fired or should you be fired? Kev, first thing I thought was, if you're answering those questions before training camp even opens, you're going to have a crappy year. That's my sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's that whole, again, that expectation where it's like, we want this. We know we're going to get this. If you're thinking down here, but back to the Panthers, it reminds me of a saying my brother always had for me, one of my older brothers. And he always said, when you're on the bottom, nobody's going to talk about you. When you're on top, they're all going to talk about you.
It's funny you say that. John Ohm writes, and he says, people are jealous whiners about Florida hockey. Give it a break, man. It's exactly what you're saying, but I'm so tired of those people. And you and I talk about it all the time on the damn phone. Why don't you go try winning yourself? Why don't you go win and see how it feels instead of pulling down the people that actually are? If you spend as much time working on yourself and winning, then pulling down those that are, you might actually win. But no, winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. That's just the way that it is. Anyways, my mind just spazzed out. I just get so tired of it, as you know. But let me, and I know you live in Calgary. You're a Canucks fan. Are you? But to ask you if you follow the Leafs at all would be a dumb question because you don't. Yet you live in Canada, so you can't get away from it.
Well, of course, everybody has to.
Yeah. How do you think they're going to fare without Mitch Marner? Because I think they're going to lose. They're going to tumble 5 to 10 points without Marner there. That's what I think.
You know what? It was funny because I was talking to somebody at work who's a huge Leafs fan, and he's probably watching. And he was saying, "Oh, we're gonna be able to focus on the rest of the team and not just Marner this year, and we're gonna do better." And I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I think I'm not going to say 5 to 10 points. But I'm going to say definitely they're going to drop down a little bit. They're not going to have that go-to guy anymore, that quarterback.
Well, I know he's happy to be out of there. We had a poll question a while back. Who's going to have the better season, Mitch Marner with the Golden Knights or the Leafs as a team? And if you want to say, what do you mean a better season? Who's playing longer? It's going to be Mitch Marner and the Vegas Golden Knights, which, by the way, back to the tax, I can't believe how many people want to talk about this, but I wanted to get into it here today with you, Kev. And once you're gone, we'll keep talking about it. And Craig Button coming up in hour 2, Director of Scouting for TSN. Utah Darren writes in, he says, one of the first things you learn as a coach is nobody cares. Have injuries, salary cap issues, taxes, hard cheese. Nobody cares. Oh, exactly. Brent in Florida writes in, he says, Florida in January? I mean, is there really a tough decision? I'd pay $1 million not to live in Edmonton or Winnipeg. That's from Brent in Florida saying it, not me. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, 9 states, which include Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington, have no personal income taxes. Yet everybody is focused, zeroing in on the Florida Panthers. Everybody was even talking about this with Tampa Bay, which reminds me, though, they did bring up the LTIR, which the hijinks, right? Tampa started it, right, by not using Kucherov all year till the playoffs, and then Vegas did the same thing with Mark Stone, and the Panthers, I believe, did it with Matthew Tkachuk. And all along, the NHL said, no, not a big deal, not a big deal. We're not going to look into it. And then this year, they brought in a mechanism so that you can't do that. So I'm just wondering, with all this bitching and moaning, I'm wondering what's going on at the owners' meetings or the GM's meetings where stuff is actually done, where they've said it's not a big deal, this state income tax, that they do somehow bring in a formula to make it fair. I wonder if they will. What? Bill Daly has said, I don't know how you do that.
But I was just thinking, like, my brain started going, and it's like, what formula do you bring in? Do you tax everybody? You find the highest tax team, and everybody pays that same tax across? Like, how does that work? No, I can't see it working. It's just, if the Panthers sucked like they did, like you mentioned, for years and years, you and I wouldn't be having this discussion at all.
No,
it's
not at all.
Because they won.
By the way, Brent in Florida woke up this morning and chose violence because he's got people. This is Brent, by the way. Me and him catching a 40-pound sailfish a couple of winters ago. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Leon chose Edmonton, Brent. And goes on to say, Hellebuck chose Winnipeg, Brent. That was a bad take. I think if somebody's willing to line up and give me $8.5 million like the Jets did to Connor Hellebuck, I'd live pretty much anywhere. These guys at their age, they're not planning their retirement right now. They're trying to get as much money as they can where they are. We're running out of time, man. This goes so bloody fast with you. What's 2 minutes. What's up with you? What's the last word for you in the last 2 minutes?
You know, after everything that we just talked about, everything, I keep going back into my head, and it's like society is trying to drag us apart. They're separating us. Why don't we let sports bring us back together? Yes, even Jeff, the Stamps fan, and I can agree on stuff. We did the other day. It blew me away. It's in writing. Let sports bring us back together. Yes, we can have our rivalries, but we don't have to hate each other. Let's society do that. Let's sports bring us together.
Well, at the very least, we don't need to shoot each other. Like, as you know, in your other career, as humans, it's just not possible. We're not all going to get along because we don't all have the same viewpoints.
Yeah.
So we're not all going to get along, okay? So can we shake hands and agree to be friends instead of shooting each other or stabbing somebody?
You and I are a perfect example of two people that shouldn't be friends with our viewpoints. We're like polar opposites on our viewpoints on a lot of items. But there's a lot of items where we work through and realize how closely aligned we really are when we look at it. You can look at anybody and you can find something you can agree on. And that's my choice today. I choose to agree. And I'm going to go out tomorrow. I'm going to go to that Stamps game. And there's 8 of us. There's 2 of us that are Lions fans. The rest of them are Stamp fans. We're going to have a good time.
John Ohm writes in. He says, 100%, Kevin. Kevin and I don't agree on anything politically, sports-wise, but we agree that we love each other. Kev, thanks for jumping on. We'll do it tomorrow.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. Sports update. Viewer takeover the rest of the way. And Craig Button in hour 2. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television and a lot of other platforms.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is just you and me to the top of the hour, and then into hour two. And then Craig Button will be with us, the director of scouting from TSN. For our U.S. viewers, that's Canada's ESPN. But spent many, many years knowing Craig Button. He was my dad's first boss with the Minnesota North Stars. I've known him since I was 15 or 16 years old. Craig Button, just love that dude. And there's no better hockey analyst in the game today than him. Craig Button, coming up in hour two. I'm very grateful to have you. Do me a favor and support our sponsors, please. Like, I don't know, Outlaw Communications, where creativity is a way of life, specializing in strategic communications, leadership training, and clear conversational content that motivates your audience. Or the text line sponsor, Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. I miss my people at Western Dodge, to be honest with you. Brandon, Devin, Asha, Steve. Always get the biggest smile in the world. Miss those dudes. We'll see them next summer. I can't believe how much of a topic this state income tax thing is. My God. Imagine being Gary. I'm annoyed by it. What do you think Gary Bettman thinks about it? Kenny is watching in Vancouver and writes in and he says, the Florida Panthers built a great team, period. End of discussion. Oh, it's just such a bunch of whining. My God. Mon Dieu. And with regards to Bill Daly saying, you know, it's not an issue now, the VP of the NHL, but we'll look into it. Utah Darren writes in and he says, you would need a way advanced math degree to figure out a fair tax formula, LOL, which is a whole other thing. And I might add, Scott of Vancouver writes in and he says, good get, Craig Button. Rich in Edmonton says, Craig always brings it. Yes, he does. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, tax or a great culture and a passionate fan base. These millionaires can live wherever they want in the offseason. Whatever it is, they won. They've been in 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. My God. And then they were terrible for 30 years. But it's all because there's no income tax. That's what we're tired of hearing. But anyways, the gentleman says you would need Utah Darren says you'd need a way advanced math degree to figure that out. Yeah, but I remember Bettman, the last time he spoke, it was during the Stanley Cup final here in Sunrise that I saw, and he addressed the Canadian dollar. I mean, it's really bad right now. Trust me. I know. I make Canadian money and live in the U.S. Nobody's watching it closer than me. But Gary said that there's, I don't even know the term that he used. Let's just say mechanisms or gadgets or gizmos and how they account for that fluctuation of the dollar so the Canadian teams don't get hurt. I don't know. He didn't seem very worried about it at all. And I think guys like Vincent Viola, the owner of the Panthers, they sit back and laugh at us minions and foot soldiers talking about their money. Do any of those guys seem worried to you about anything? Ever? I think when you get to that stage of income, life's a bowl of cherries. Oh, thank you, Jeremy in Winnipeg, for getting me back on track. If we ever were on track. Will you remind me to please put this to Craig Button when he joins us next hour? Because I'm riddled with who's going to have more points, Ottawa or Montreal in the National Hockey League this year. It's our poll question for EMJ Marketing. Expert voices, impactful messages. Discover the perfect speaker at EMJ Marketing. Go to emjmarketing.com for more information. The reason I brought that up is for the newsletter, which goes out every Sunday. I've been doing division by division standings predictions for the NHL, and I got stopped in the Atlantic Division. And this came up the other night. I was doing a show, the Cats and Rats podcast here in Florida, and they asked me to come on and talk about the Lightning, and they said, what are your predictions, Rod? And I said, well, I got Florida 1, Tampa 2, Leafs 3, and then I was stumped. Both Ottawa and Montreal made the playoffs last year. They're both going to be good. And they probably will both make the playoffs this year, but one will have to be a wild card team. Who has more points? And to be honest, I saw Montreal's leading the vote of you people for EMJ Marketing, our daily poll. And I went with Montreal. Do you want to know why? More offense. Period. But that's not to say I'm right. I guess we'll find out in 7, 8, 9, 10 months, but by then, nobody's going to remember that we were talking about it today on September the 18th. Is that what it is? I don't even know what day it is. Allegedly, says producer Corey, September 18th. I'm saying Montreal because they got more offense. And to be honest, better goaltending too. It's a pretty good combination. Regarding the Canadian versus U.S. dollar, Ken in Mississauga writes, and he says, American CFL players would be in the same situation. Producer Corey says, if you wanted the Habs to lose, put Jose Theodore back in net. Here's an interesting thing. The guy that came and hooked up my internet in the old studio where I used to do the show from Comcast also hooked up the internet at Jose Theodore's house and Dan Marino's. He had some pretty good stories. Let's just stick to the Theodore stories. He had all his goalie masks from the NHL on the back wall, which incidentally, so does Sergei Bobrovsky. But like anything, Canadian goaltender, Canadian hockey player, this guy from Comcast was a very big fan of Jose Theodore, who lives here in South Florida. What the hell? I don't know how this came up, but Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and he says, what's perceived these days as hate is typically not hate at all. Seems like it's just become a fashionable buzzword. What I know is I want to keep it out of here for 2 hours. Hate. 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. Send us a message. It's light on there today. It's light. Clearly, you people must have some takes on what we're talking about here today. The sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. The Blue Jays will look to wrap their 4-game set against the Rays with a bounce-back win this afternoon. Toronto fell 2-1 to Tampa Bay Wednesday after Rays center fielder Chandler Simpson robbed Alejandro Kirk of a 3-run homer with a stunning catch. The Blue Jays still lead the American League East, sitting 4 games up on the Yankees. The Miami Dolphins head to Buffalo tonight, searching for their first win of the season. The Finns 2-0 after falling to New England 33-27 on Saturday. The Bills, meanwhile, come into the game with an unblemished 2-0 record after coasting to a 30-10 victory over New York in Week 2 action. Stick with me for a moment, but I'll just tell you that the sports updates are brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them on Main Street, Moose Jaw, or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. I think they sell more shipping than they do in-store. Billy would have to confirm that for me. But as we come back for hour 2, I would ask that you get some comments and questions coming for me today, similar to what you did yesterday. We did a whole hour and 20 minutes yesterday with just me and you, and it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? But I opened this show here way back in the warm-up. Point 1 was about football. We've been opening the big story all week on the Blue Jays. And frankly, what do I say? We talk more football as we get closer to the weekend because that's when the games are. And I just got a real bang out of this morning. Out for my 40-minute run now. I'm upping it at LA Fitness, and I'm watching. I mean, I really love that place. They got all the big screen TVs hanging in front of you. You overlook. It's a beautiful place, LA Fitness here in Boca Raton. Haven't seen Joe Girardi there for a while, but I digress. Ticker across the bottom of the screen says, and I wrote it down here, is the Heat getting loud in Miami with the Dolphins at 0-2? Yeah, that's what it is. With the Finns at 0-2 is what it said. And I'm like, what? Come down here. It was Adam Schefter that said it. I'm like, you're the insider. You should know. Oh, my God. It's similar to the other places, lived in Calgary. Flames talk all day, every day. Oilers, maybe even more so. Leafs in Toronto, same thing. Here, it's the Dolphins. Everybody's got an opinion. I've said this. Producer Corey's a little new to the scene, although we started doing this show, well, I can tell you, together 79 shows ago with producer Corey. But I say the one thing that brings everybody together is the NFL. And both sides of the border, everybody's following the NFL. I can't sit here and talk to Florida people about what's going on in the NHL because not everybody's paying attention, trust me. In Canada, yeah, CFL, NHL, literally, actually, honestly, in Canada, not everybody's following all that, but everybody's following the NFL. That is the one thing that brings everybody together on this continent right now, I think. In the sports world, it's probably the only thing, actually. And they're following what's going on with these Dolphins. Like I'm going to go down to Florida Panthers training camp this afternoon, but I can't wait to get back to watch the Dolphins tonight because it will be the last game for Mike McDaniel. I just can't see any other way, which is another thing that they were talking about tonight. Well, how are we doing for time here? 1 minute, okay. Okay, they're like, what if they don't get blown out? What if they just lose by 1? Does it matter? Does it really matter? Is that going to save Mike McDaniel's job? And it's just round and around and around. What you hear around here, well, the players look like they really like Mike McDaniel. And then you turn on the radio. Now the players have quit on Mike McDaniel. I'm like, oh my God, enough. BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, Corey, your 900 number is Super Chat. LOL. That's where people pay to comment and get their comments read. I feel so dirty, which is another thing that's new. And we'll fill Corey in on that when we come back for hour 2. And Craig Button will be joining us, the director of scouting from TSN, to get all of these NHL questions answered. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, YouTube, podcast, and Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. Nice to see you. Pull up a chair. I feel like Mr. Dress Up, which none of our U.S. viewers would know what that is, and that's okay. That's fine. Or is it the Friendly Giant? Hi. It's episode number 1579 of the Rod Pedersen Show here on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio. Coming up in the next segment, Craig Button will be with us, TSN's Director of Scouting, for a big old NHL training camp talk here on the opening day of training camps. And we've got a great bunch of questions that have come in from our viewers already and comments. I just love them so much. It makes this show fly by. I'll tell you, the Western Dodge text line is open, 902-518-3033, and let's get down to it. Quick six show topics, the big story, not baseball today. We've done that all week. It's football. Fall is for football. Week 3 in the NFL kicks off tonight. The Buffalo Bills look to flex their offensive muscles tonight when they host the Miami Dolphins in the Thursday nighter. Bills are 2-0. They put up 71 points over their first 2 games of the season, second only to Baltimore's 81. Star Bills quarterback Josh Allen will wear a visor after injuring his nose in last week's win over the New York Jets. We ended hour 1 talking a bit about this. And I'll just say now, this is supposed to be, we all think, the final game for Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins. And here's the thing. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes, and he says, it's surprising if McDaniel is fired after an 0-3 record. Mind you, what is it? His 4th year as head coach? Yeah, I've been down here long enough. Brian Flores was the coach of the Dolphins when I got here. He got fired, got in a fight with the owner, among other things. And Mike McDaniel took over, and I remember the news conference. Everybody was smiling, thought he was cool. They called him the professor. He's got the cool designer glasses, dresses like a frat boy. Now they can't stand him, and they want to run him out of town. They call him Boy Wonder. And you're saying it's surprising. It's actually not surprising, but it's not your fault, Wayne. If you look at a map, you couldn't be any further than you are from Victoria, BC to Miami, Florida. You're probably not really following what's going on here. They haven't won a playoff game. They've lost to the Colts, which they should have, we all feel, won in week 1. Then they lost at home to the Patriots. Patriots are dog crap, if you've noticed. They're 0-2. You lose tonight in Buffalo, which you're going to lose. Josh Allen 7-0 on Thursday night. So you're going to go to 0-3. What are you keeping the guy around for? It's over. So again, never won a playoff game. All these exciting things. You got to remember the coaching staff that was charged with domestic battery. You got Tyreek Hill facing. It's just bad. Not that that's all on McDaniel, but it's just bad. And it all adds up to winless. Jeff the Stamps fan says, that was the friendly giant. Thank you. I get my Canadian children's shows mixed up. Rusty. Look up, way up. Rusty was the most famous personality I knew until Rusty Dean. Big fan. So that's it. The big game tonight. Looking forward to that. BC Eric writes in and he says, any plans on an NCAA football game, Rod? I would like to hear your impressions. Which part? I've already been to one. You obviously weren't watching BC, Eric. It was September 6th. It was the day I flew back here from Canada after spending the summer up there calling baseball. Landed, and within an hour, I was in FAU Stadium watching the hometown Owls, Florida Atlantic University, against Henry Burris's Florida A&M Rattlers. And I was down on the sidelines. Henry's the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and associate head coach. And what do you want to know? I love college football for all the same reasons that I love junior hockey. It's not perfect. It's the best level of players at that age, but they're not perfect. College for a lot more, like there's mistakes in it. There's busts, way more than you see in the pro games. You see more creative formations. You know, it's just, there's a lot of freshness in college football. Shoot, there's 120 teams really in the FBS division. I love college football. I can't be everywhere, which is a whole other thing. Going to Florida Panthers training camp this afternoon. And then we got 3 games in 3 nights with the FAU Owls hockey team, one of which I'm broadcasting Saturday when Georgia Tech comes to town. So this is a sports haven. It took me a while to get acclimated, and now I'm in it, up to my eyeballs. This is weird. Friday and Sunday, the Florida Gators are here for hockey. Friday and Sunday, the Florida Gators are playing Florida Atlantic University. But then on Saturday, in the middle of it, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are here, and I'm broadcasting the game with Georgia Tech. 3 games in 3 nights on the weekend. Weekend gone. And high school football Saturday night, my buddy Matt DeBuck's team is playing the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs. That's their helmet. And I just told the coach, DeBuck, I'll be there as soon as the FAU hockey game's over. So, yeah. And then there's a very big football game Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium. It's the Dolphins' home, but that's where the Miami Hurricanes play. They're on this little run with 3 straight at home to open the season, and they've got the Florida Gators in town Saturday in a huge game. So I'd like to be there, but you cannot be everywhere. Whew. Thanks for all the questions. We're not done yet. But, pardon me, point 2 was the Canadian Football League. We went deep on that. I hope you're enjoying the slight format twitch to what we're doing here. Tweak. More Canadian sports in hour 1. More U.S. sports in hour 2. I like it, and really that's what matters because I'm the host, but I'll just run it down again. Canadian Football League Week 16 is at hand. Friday doubleheader, Saturday doubleheader. Kevin the Medium was with us last hour from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He was riding shotgun with me to open it up today. These were our picks. We both have Montreal to win at Toronto Friday in the CFL. I got Calgary to beat BC at McMahon Stadium Friday night. He's got the Lions, but he's a Lions diehard born and bred fan, so he'll never pick against them. Saturday, another doubleheader. We both have Ottawa to beat Winnipeg. Sorry, Winnipeg. And we both have Hamilton to beat Edmonton in the finale of the week. So those are the games. We went way, way, way more deep into it. But I will say this is a fascinating story. If anybody that's been in sports in my role in the media, because I don't want to get it twisted, the coaches, the GMs, and the guys like Craig Button, who's coming up next, well, mind you, he's media now. I don't know, and has been for a long time. But we're always looking for a story. We're looking for an angle, a reason to make people watch the games and watch shows like this. And the story of Vernon Adams Jr., the Calgary Stampeders quarterback, facing the BC Lions Friday night in the game of the week, voted by you viewers, is a hell of a story because we were with Vernon Adams at Grey Cup last week at a party, last year in Vancouver at the media party that we always do on the Wednesday night. And Vernon came to it. He's the best guy. That day, he was still the quarterback of the BC Lions. A week later, gone, traded to Calgary so Nathan Rourke could move into his stall. And that doesn't feel good. So it's a big story. And I'm interested to see. And Calgary's going to win the game. I don't think there's any doubt. I should remind you that the picks are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral in Regina, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Point 3 of the Quick Six. The American League East leading Toronto Blue Jays wrap up a 4-game series with the Rays this afternoon in Tampa. I think they're just about to start. Tampa posted a narrow 2-1 win Wednesday night to snap Toronto's win streak at 6 games. Jays starter Chris Bassett has a 1.69 ERA over 3 starts in September, but he hasn't won a game since July 23rd. I feel like the Blue Jays fans are over there watching that game right now, so we're not going to talk about it here. Did I mention 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. And let's load that thing up. Thank you, Joe, for writing in. I just checked this out. Joe is from Brandon, Manitoba, and he says, hey, Rod, Jets fan here. Excited for the season coming up. How do you and Craig Button think Jonathan Toews will do? I'm hoping 60 points is doable. Joe, were you reading my diary? Because the next point was NHL training camps opening today. And a point total for Jonathan Toews. Hell of a question. It's going to depend, of course, what line he's on, what role they have designated for him. I don't know if Craig Button's watching now or not, but remind me, please. I'll make a note of that. Button Jets. Because 32 teams. Everybody's all excited. I made the mistake in the top hour break of going to Twitter. First thing I see, Ryan Rishaug tweeting out of Edmonton, who's playing beside Connor McDavid. 1,000 retweets, 2,000 likes. Lord love us, as my mom would say. 2 minutes into the first session of training camp, and we're reporting on who McDavid's playing in between. Mon Dieu. Oh, my God. And then there's Kirk from Toronto writing in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hi, Rod. I'm not a Leafs fan, but I get the feeling that McDavid comes home and signs with the Buds next year. Hey, possible, but not probable. I should tell you the Western Dodge text line. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. I got to slip those sponsor reads in there. And we're hawking our merch as well. Be part of this team, the show you love. Grab your RP Show merch now at rodpeterson.com. Click on RP Store. Joe's put a lot of work into ordering this stuff. Mugs, thermoses, hats, T-shirts, bunny hugs. Go check it out. Place your order today. Well, I guess we got to get into this with Craig Button when he joins us next. And I feel bad. This went so fast with Kevin, the medium last hour. I didn't really get into his expectation for the Canucks. And having said that, he did address it last week. I think he's got the Canucks making the playoffs. I don't think he has them challenging for first place. But this is from the Canadian Press Newswire. NHL players and it's the fourth point of our Quick Six show topics. NHL players will hit the ice today as training camps get underway across the league. The Maple Leafs will be without star winger Mitch Marner, who decamped to Las Vegas during the offseason. That's one way of looking at it. How about bolted, fled, got the hell out of here, jumped on the first thing smoking? Mitch Marner, second free agency open by Toronto general manager Brad Treliving says the Leafs are turning the page and focusing on their team. Pausing. It's 1:11 Eastern. 11:11 Mountain. Visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. It works, and what do you have to lose? Not like Craig Button hasn't talked a million words about Mitch Marner and the Leafs, but I'm going to ask him for a million and first time, and I'll say, who do you think will have the better season? The Toronto Maple Leafs or Mitch Marner? Remind me of that too. How do you answer that? Who's playing longer? And I feel bad. Joe and Brandon, had the question, what's the expectation for Jonathan Toews? Last I heard, they were talking about him as the second line center. But they're opening training camp today. God knows there'll be 18,000 reports out of the Jets MTS Center, whatever the practice facility is called, as to who's playing, Jonathan Toews is playing with. Maybe Craig Button will know. Here in Florida, Bill Zito, on Media Day yesterday, the general manager, said, quote, the Panthers are, quote, humble and hungry. And it's interesting, but that would be another thing we could put to Craig Button, because I have them finishing first place in the Atlantic. I've put that in my columns. I've said it on the podcast I've guested on. Yet Kevin Carey is up there in Edmonton. When I was on his show a couple of weeks ago, he has the Panthers missing the playoffs. I'm like, how that? But having said that, there's no unreasonable predictions right now. I had the Lightning missing the playoffs last year. They ended up finishing higher than the Panthers, even though the Panthers tanked it the last 2 months. 2 years ago, I had the New York Rangers predicted to miss the playoffs. John Shannon came on this show and was ready to submit me for drug testing, and they won the President's Trophy. It was the next year that they missed the playoffs and fired everybody. Got rid of the captain. I was 1 year ahead of my time, like I always am. And who also was like that is Craig Button. It's funny. When the Bruins and the Blues met in the Stanley Cup final, what year was that? Help me out, people. 2019. I had texted Craig Button, and I said, hey, you predicted the Blues and the Bruins last year. He goes, I did? I don't remember. Look it up, Craig. It's in your text string. So some of us are just ahead of our time. It takes a while for everybody else to catch up. And I meant to ask Kevin the Medium not only about his outlook for the Canucks. Yeah, he thinks they're going to make the playoffs. Everybody thinks that there. I see Adam Foote saying that they're going to commit to defense there in Vancouver. And that's a noble goal. Maybe they will make the playoffs. I'm sitting here going, it's a culture problem there. It doesn't matter. They could bring back Pavel Bure and Kirk McLean. They're not doing anything this year. I have the Canucks last place in the Pacific Division, and I'm not moving off that. There's too many good teams. I got Vegas 1, Edmonton 2, LA 3, the Calgary Flames 4, and then everybody else behind that. Arlen Bruce III's watching, former Kansas City Chief and two-time Grey Cup champion. AB writes that he says, great morning, RP. I'm 0-2 in fantasy football, just like my Chiefs. 0-2. Oh, my God. RP, you should have Stephen A. Smith on your show. He looks sad now. I'm glad he's been humbled. I don't even know. I don't even pay attention to Stephen A. Smith anymore. Some people are overexposed, and he's one. I haven't paid attention to Stephen A. Smith in a long time. There's other guys I like. Yeah, like Mike Florio, Craig Button, who we're so blessed to have on the program today. There's guys I follow, and Stephen A. Smith is not one of those. Craig Button coming up next here on Game Plus Television.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Just finding out that we don't have Craig Button yet. So bear with me. I'm going to send you his number, producer Corey, okay? Whatever it is, buddy. Trying to sign in on Chrome, he says. I don't even have his email address. I don't think I have his email address. Man, this is just fantastic. Yeah, I don't have his email address. So I just sent you his number. So there you go. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, my wife was wondering where the text jingle is. That's how she knew I was watching the RP show in the living room. Things have changed around here, if you haven't noticed. The number's the same, 902-518-3033. And I guess as we await Craig Button. So he's trying to sign in on his computer. I had just texted him the link. Spit happens. We'll get him at some point. I got fun questions for Craig. I hate when this happens because it eats into our interview time. He's one of the biggest names in Canadian sports media. We have a lot of things to get to. Troy in Toronto has a very fun question for Craig. But Arlen Bruce wrote in here about Stephen A. Smith from ESPN and that we should get him on because he's sad now. I'm not interested in doing that. And Wayne in Victoria, BC writes, then he says, Stephen A. Smith has gotten into politics more now, which is not good for him. No. But again, I don't follow him. I don't like Piers Morgan. I do like Craig Button, however. And there he is. I got him. How are you doing, Mr. Button?
I'm good. Sorry, Rod. You told me to get on early. I just upgraded my operating system to the new one, and it's not supporting Chrome very good. So I went back to Safari. So hopefully it works pretty good. So my apologies for being a tad late.
It's all good, my friend. We can tap dance and skedaddle and fill time, and you've been doing media long enough. You know how that is. Are you prepared to have some fun today, Craig? Aside from the normal hockey questions.
Rod, you know me pretty well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Like, fun has to be part of our everyday lives. There's too much other serious stuff going on in the world. So we'll let the serious stuff be there. Sports and what we do is about having fun and distracting. So that's what I'm focused in on.
Have you got a cold?
I have an allergy, and I'm not happy about it because I've never had allergies, right? And I have no idea what I'm allergic to. And, you know, I was down in Medicine Hat last Thursday for a charity golf tournament. The Yule Foundation the Family Foundation put on. So I was invited down there and had a good day. But since something happened, and I'm trying to get rid of it, but I'm not happy. I'm feeling good, though.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and playing injured. The fun question comes from Troy in Toronto. I know you well enough that I know your answer to this already before I even ask it. He says, question for Craig. Do you buy your own clothes or does TSN dress you? And if you buy your own clothes, where do you shop? You're the sharpest dressed guy on TSN, if not all of Canadian sports broadcasting.
Well, thank you very much. I owe all my fashion to my grandparents and my mother. That's where my fashion's at. I buy my own clothes, and my provider of clothes is O'Connor's in Calgary. Miles O'Connor and his wife Kathy, longtime menswear and ladies wear store in Calgary, and their son Logan plays for the Colorado Avalanche. So that's where I go for all my clothes.
And you always said to me, when you have a face like this, you have to dress well. Right?
I have to, hey, listen, when somebody says nice tie, nice shoes, nice pocket square, I say it's working. And they go, what? I said, keep the focus off my face, which is the key here.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, too, if you look over my left shoulder, Craig, before I left Canada, I did a trade with my brother. He's like, hey, that belt buckle that Dad got at the Western Canadian Pro Hockey Scouts Foundation Hall of Fame, he's like, you're not going to wear that belt buckle, are you? And I'm like, God, no. And he goes, well, I will. So I got Dad's mask from the 60s and 70s. Would you be interested in a trade? That's the old guy's mask right there, Craig. How cool is that?
Well, it's unbelievable, and I have seen that mask before. So right away when I saw it, like, it's funny because you have the trophy like below it, but I saw that mask in your mom and dad's house, and like, think about think about your dad. Think about your dad, like him wearing a mask. That wasn't common practice back when your dad was trying to stop pucks.
No, this is Terry Sawchuk, Jacques Plante vintage era, and it was made exactly the same as theirs. Pretty damn cool. Okay, so that's some of the fun stuff, but they're going to jump to the audience. And you probably answered all these questions being in Canada and being your job on TSN, but I haven't heard them because I'm living in Florida where there's no hockey coverage. What does Craig Button think, or what's your expectation for Jonathan Toews, points-wise or role-wise with the Jets this year?
Well, let me start with role. I think he'll have a really important role on that team. Mark Scheifele is a superstar in my view. I think Mark's game continues to develop and progress, and he can really impact the game. Adam Lowry, to me, is the best third-line center in hockey. I mean, I could make an argument that Lundell and Lowry are the two best third-line centers in hockey. I think they're that good. Anton Lundell, obviously, with the Panthers, the two best. So now Jonathan, he's got the front support, he's got the back end support. So now I think Jonathan just has to come in and just play the game. How many times do we hear the term "play the game the right way"? Jonathan Toews is the poster person for that comment, for that phrase, and that's what he's going to do. Luke Shen came over there last year. Luke's won a couple of Stanley Cups. Obviously, Jonathan's record as a winner. I believe that it really helps when you have more voices that have won, that have been through it, than singular. Now Luke comes in there, he's got lots of credibility. Jonathan has massive credit. I think it just helps all those other players. And it's going to be when the times are tough. And Jonathan can just say, relax. We got this here. Let's just keep going. Let's keep doing what we got to do. So I think that that's the role and the impact that he'll have. He's 37 years old. He hasn't played for 2 years. You're not going to see the same Jonathan Toews that we saw in his prime. But I think he's an important member of the Winnipeg Jets and an important member at an important time for the Winnipeg Jets. They're trying to find a way to get further in the playoffs, to get deeper in the playoffs. And I think Jonathan can go a long ways towards helping them achieve that.
It's funny when you hear that too many leaders comment. I heard that here in Florida when they got Marchand. People are like, too many leaders. I'm like, it's not possible. Because good leaders are good people, and they'll figure out a way to make it work. And they did here. What did you think about Marchand's comment yesterday?
Can I add just one thing? I just want to add one thing to that too.
Yeah.
What great leaders all have is they understand about like giving it up. Like when I say giving it up, they'll let somebody else have a voice. They'll let somebody else lead the way when it's right. When you only have one voice, I'm going to give you an example. I think JT Miller is a fantastic leader. He was just named captain of the New York Rangers. He's wired to win. He is a guy that just won't give you anything less than 100%. I think the challenge that Vancouver had is they had nobody to kind of support JT Miller. Our teams in Dallas, and you're very familiar, Dad was a real important part of our organization. We had lots of leaders. Just go back and look who we had. So it didn't fall on one person to have the voice all the time. And I think that for the Florida Panthers, so now Brad Marchand can talk, and Sam Bennett can talk, and then Barkov can talk, and Ekblad can. So like that's great leaders understand when to speak, when not to, when to give up the platform and say, hey, it's yours today. And so this too much leader stuff, give me a break.
Not a chance. And Marchand, he goes from being the guy in Boston to picking up blizzards here. He didn't have, for the guys. He didn't have to. I mean, what a relief. And he played like it. But what did you think about his comment yesterday that because of the non-income tax in Florida, it allowed them to sign the big three? I'm sure there's a few people wishing he hadn't said that.
Well, here's what Brad does as well as anybody. He knows how to troll. So he pays attention to what's going on in the media. I mean, it's become a narrative, right, Rod? You know it. You're in the media. I hear it.
Oh.
It's a narrative that everybody continues on about. So what does Brad do as well as anybody? Look, what did the Panthers do last year when they heard that Pink Pony Club was the song of the Edmonton Oilers? They said, "Oh, why don't we troll them with Pink Pony Club?" And that's all Brad Marchand's doing. He's trolling. And to me, I don't know who would say it. He knows how to like as a player. He knows how to get under the skin of opponents. And that's what Brad does. He's like that. When he's on your side, you love him, right? When he's against you, you go, oh my God, I can't stand that guy. But you want him. Bob Clark told me many years ago, when you're watching a player and you go, geez, I hate that guy, it's usually a guy you want on your team. So bottom line is, Florida Panthers do the Florida Panthers, and everybody else has a path to try to be successful. The Florida Panthers have found theirs.
I guess the opposite of that is Mitch Marner, who was on the Leafs team, and the Leafs fans hated him, even though he was on the team. So my question is, who has the better season this year, Mitch Marner or the Leafs?
Oh, Mitch Marner, I think all the way. And let me say this, and I'm going to go back to our teams in Dallas. We were lucky. We got lucky in Dallas because we were able to sign Brett Hull. Why were we able to sign Brett Hull? Because he became the scapegoat for St. Louis Blues fans. Oh, we can't win with Brett Hull. You can't win with Brett Hull. Oh, but Brett Hull was the most valuable player, elite goal scorer. And I may have told you this before, Rod. The number of people that came up to not only me but other members of our organization unsolicited and said, "You'll never win with Brett Hull." Oh, really? Oh, but you know what's interesting? Not one person has ever come back and said, "Geez, we were wrong." I think Mitch Marner got the Brett Hull treatment in Toronto. They were looking for a scapegoat, so they found one. And now the beneficiary of all this is going to be the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, you look at Hurdle. He's an elite goal scorer. You look at Mark Stone, elite player, Eichel. He's going to take the pressure. I told Shea Theodore this summer, I said, you're going to get 20 more points because when you get the puck to Marner, that puck's going to end up back into a prime scoring area and be in the net. And when you have more of those players, and now you're not vulnerable to just relying on one area of your team for success. I think it's going to benefit Mitch. He doesn't have to be the only guy because there's lots of balance there in Vegas. And I think the Vegas Golden Knights are a serious Stanley Cup contender. And listen, the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously they take up a lot of oxygen in the hockey world and lots of oxygen in Toronto. But there's no way they're a better team without Mitch Marner, not in my view.
And a former Chicago coach told me that Ed Belfour no team would ever win a Stanley Cup with Ed Belfour. Back to your Dallas. There's another one, right? I want to end with this. We got about 5 minutes. Or 6, and I want you to allow you the time to talk about it. The Western Canadian Pro Hockey Scouting Foundation. Craig, not just because my dad went in. It was one of the greatest events ever. I said that to Garth Malarchuk and Ross Mahoney. I can't wait till next year. I'm never going to miss this thing. But we did it in Okotoks on July 29th. What a night.
Yeah, it was a good night. I think there's a few things and you just mentioned Garth Malarchuk. He's the president. He's the one that oversees everything, the chairman. And him, along with Mike Barnett, former NHL manager, longtime agent in the NHL. It was really like what I would call, they planted the seeds. Ron DeLorme, Ross Mahoney, Aaron Janelle really got behind it. And then when you get the train moving, it becomes, all you got to do is get on a moving train and keep it moving and pick up speed. That's exactly what the Western Canadian Pro Scouts Foundation has done. First of all, it's a recognition of people, and now I'm talking about the scouts, that work in basically a solitary manner. They work for teams, but their teammates are all the other scouts on the road with them, traveling the miles. You know it. The rubber has to hit the road for a scout to start to get traction, and they do it, and they do it, out of the spotlight. But they're incredibly important to what NHL teams need to do to have success, and you don't get players unless you have really good scouts. Second to that was trying to help different scouts. We see that in life you run into challenges. So one of the big goals of the foundation is to help scouts that for whatever they may be having challenges with, whether it be financial, whether it be health or anything, we want to be able to try to help them. They didn't make loads of money, but so we want to try to make sure we do it. We're in the communities, Rod. We want to try to, what we found is that we want to be back in the communities. We see that hockey has become, there's lots of barriers to entry, financial, the costs and everything. So if we can get young kids involved in hockey and give them financial incentives to participate, that's the other thing we want to do. And then back just then to the overall communities. There's so many different communities in sport and everything. And we're present in those communities, and we want to make sure that we can contribute back to those communities who give so much to sport. And sport is health. And if we can have young people participating in sport, that leads to healthy lives all the way through.
And this is why I wanted to provide you the time to talk about it. I mean, I could go on about it forever. I get asked all the time. Just this week I did. Some guy, I'd like to get into scouting. How do I get into scouting? I said, call Jason Ripplinger or Todd. Start there. But I mean, my dad got called. You don't. he got called to get into it. You know what I mean? I don't know how you would do that. And by the way, be careful what you wish for. Probably the most thankless job in sport. Period.
It is, because you don't get credit for the job you're supposed to do, but you get lots of blame when things don't go exactly right in an inexact science. I'll go back to your dad. I mean, your dad was involved with the midget AAA at that time in Saskatchewan, with the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And so he was present. He was around. He was doing things. So now you're seeing, oh, this is Jim Pedersen. Les Jackson, and who said, well, we should hire Jim Pedersen because Jim Pedersen's wired in. Be present. The first thing, to your point, I would tell any young, go and be present. Get involved some way. Just say to a team, hey, I'm going to Bantam games here. Can I send you some reports and just can you give me some feedback? Everybody's looking for help, right? And the start might not be financially rewarding, but if you're really eager, there's opportunities to make yourself present. Your dad is a great example of that.
Yeah, he was in the ring. Who else knew the players better than him? Right?
The players, the parents, the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, where they brought where they bought their groceries, who they banked with.
He knew what they did the night before.
Oh,
Everything.
He
had very
did that
big
too.
ears.
Yeah.
He had very big ears. He knew he was listening. He didn't think he was listening. He was listening. Well, and I should mention, going to be excited to see Reed Jackson this afternoon. I'm going down to Panthers camp. I don't know if Les is going to be here or not. How the Panthers going to do this year? We got 90 seconds.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I think I'm picking them to win the Stanley Cup. Why a team that hasn't lost, that is still the same team that's dominated the last two seasons in the playoffs? They're not any different. I don't think they're any less hungry, and I think they're a team. For me, they're the favorites. Matthew Tkachuk is out for a period of time. Noshek's going to be out. But what's the one thing that we've seen time and time again from Bill Zito and the management staff? Who can we incorporate into our style of play that's going to help us win? They do it exceptionally well, and I don't think it's going to be any different this year. I think they're going to be fantastic.
Well, speaking of being around, I don't know how much you hear or around this. Bill Zito is everywhere, and he's in a tracksuit all the time. He's one of the guys. And I think the best compliment I ever heard about him, somebody said he runs the team the way we would all run it if we were in charge, because he started from the bottom. He was the Brewers clubhouse attendant when he was 15. He's not a rich kid.
Oh, Bill's phenomenal. And I've known Bill a long time, and what he does, and that description of him is perfect. Just he's a person, right? Obviously, he has a big job. Obviously, he takes it seriously. Obviously, he does it very, very well. But he doesn't put like, what do great leaders do? They don't put them with.
No. Sorry about that, Craig. We ran out of time. Got late started, and we got to run. But we got the point. Thank you, Craig Button. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Just you and me until the top of the hour. So get her rolling, 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. Rob is watching in Regina, Sask. He says, Craig Button's a beauty. Elliot Gold. What does that mean, Elliot Gold? Do you know that reference, producer Corey? I do not. But that's okay. I'm a little... Yeah, Elliot Gold. Do you know what that reference was? Some guy just said, Craig Button's a beauty. Wrote in and said, Elliot Gold. I don't even know what that means. And neither. You lost us both. I feel like we covered as much as we could with Craig Button in the time that we had. I'll tell you what. I go and in the break to see what's up on social media. Popping. Update out of Minnesota from the account Puck Empire. The Minnesota Wild aren't happy. The Kaprizov news got leaked. It's, quote, embarrassing to them that he didn't accept such a monster offer. I don't even know what it was. What was he? He was offered $16 million over however how many years. And just so you know, because I know people don't understand this, and it's not the fans' fault. It's not, because they don't know. They've never lived it, so they wouldn't know. May God have mercy on the soul of the Minnesota Wild staff member who leaked that to the media. Because I'm pretty sure Bill Guerin, the Wild general manager, probably sat everybody down and went around the room and wanted to know who leaked it. If you want to know why I'm so happy to just be arm's length away, sitting here, doing my little thing every day, I don't want to be on the front lines, because that's where you hear things. And if the wrong thing gets leaked, I think it was the Panthers last year, 2 years ago. Some young staffer tweeted a photo of the center ice logo. It was a very special logo of the Panthers. This is the rumor. I'm not sure it's true, but it was reported. Doesn't mean it's true. But a very special logo was taken a photo of and tweeted, but they were saving that for opening night. The person got fired. Imagine getting a 4-year sport admin degree, sport management degree from some college, and then because of a tweet, you get fired. Sports update here on this Thursday. The American League East leading Toronto Blue Jays wrap up a 4-game series with the Rays this afternoon in Tampa. They're playing right now. The Rays posted a narrow 2-1 win Wednesday night to snap the Jays' 6-game win streak. One of curling's all-time greats is retiring at the end of the season. Brad Gushue is holding a news conference today where he's talking about his decision to end his decorated career. The skip from St. John's, Newfoundland, led Canada to Olympic gold in 2006 and has won a record 6 men's national titles and a Worlds. Buffalo Bills look to flex their offensive muscles tonight when they host the arch-rival Miami Dolphins to kick off Week 3 of the NFL season. The 2-0 Bills have scored 71 points in their opening 2 games. That's second only to the Ravens' 81. And if you're watching tonight, you're going to notice something a little different. Star Bills quarterback Josh Allen will wear a visor after injuring his nose in last week's win over the New York Jets. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami are reviewing the final details of a contract extension to keep him with the club until at least 2026. Talks have been ongoing for months, but neither Messi nor the team has revealed details. I tell you, wow, the sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. Your team, your colors, your gear. Get it all at Ultimate Fan Zone. Sports store, Moose Jaw, or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. I get asked all the time what it's like here in South Florida. It's sports. Why I like it so much, and they seem to like me. But I stick to my little niche, Panthers coverage. Tampa when we run up there to cover Lightning games. Now I'm getting involved in the college hockey here with Florida Atlantic University. The soccer, homie, don't play that game. No. Tried. Not a soccer fan. But you see Messi's face everywhere is the point that I was getting at. He's got a personal deal with Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. He's on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. You see it in all the magazines, the bookstores. You see him on billboards. Messi, for that team, was like so far down the list of popularity in this town until they got Messi. They're not number one. That's always going to be the Dolphins. And thank God the Panthers are winning. So they're number two. The Florida Panthers are number two. I know a lot of people wouldn't believe that, but they are, because the Miami Heat suck. And so do the Marlins. But this soccer team with Messi, they're a pretty big deal. They weren't till he got here, but they are now. Overtime is next. Get all your questions and comments in one last time. 902-518-3033. Be right back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. You would think that we were a Calgary show in some ways. We spent so much time there. Enjoyed our live show there this summer from Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. I was going to ask Craig Button to come down that day. Actually, I did ask him to come to the Sheraton where we were doing the Western Canada Scouting Foundation show, but he got caught in traffic. It's a Calgary thing. It's really become a Calgary thing. But anyways, if you're going to Overtime Hockey Lanes, allow yourself lots of time. Again, it's an amusement park for hockey players, 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. Just talking about the sports here. I could sit and talk about this forever, but BC Eric writes in and he says, I feel like we're living in Siberia up here with my choices of sports compared to URP. I know it's a little overwhelming, and when I first got here, which now 5 years ago, I felt the need to go to everything. And it got way too overwhelming. Probably was a good thing because I got to see all the sports venues, but I was going to every Dolphins game, every Panthers game. I was going to Marlins games, went to Inter Miami games. And then I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And so I backed it all off very quickly, actually, to one sporting event a week. And it doesn't have to be big time. That's the one thing. Some of the games I'm going to, like the FAU Owls this weekend, broadcasting their game against Georgia Tech. Been talking to their general manager of the Owls hockey team, Scott Grosky, defending D2 champions. And he's like, I'll leave you a pass at the door. And I'm like, it's $10. I can probably handle that. And then right after that, skedaddling up to the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs football game. And they're like, we'll leave you a pass at the gate. That also is $10. If I don't get the pass, it's fine. So from all levels, that's the one thing. You know, Mike Kelly was on here last week, the commissioner of the new Continental Football League, saying how NFL is so pricey, and especially the Super Bowl, but that's just ridiculous. Nobody can even rich people can't afford to go to that. But you don't got to go to NFL. You don't necessarily have to go to NHL. That's the one thing I never really understand. You can go to junior. We talked earlier about the WHL season opening tomorrow night. Junior hockey report for Mad Greek Eatery. Yeah, Pats are a little overpriced, sure. $20 to $25 everywhere else. But here, come to the FAU games. You know, they play the Miami Hurricanes in hockey. The Florida Gators are here this weekend for hockey. You don't got to go to the big cheese. Having said all that, you can go to a Florida Panthers game for $38. So, but that's here. That's not Canadian NHL teams. John Ohm says, enjoy the hockey this afternoon, Rod. I am planning on it. Should be a nice, easy little old drive down to Fort Lauderdale. It's about 18 miles to the facility. John says, hey, Rod, tell Paul Maurice Winnipeg still loves and misses ya. If I get a chance, I will. The other thing is you don't get close to these guys. That's another reason why I don't really want to be on the front lines. Like, I'll do it, and I have done it. But the PR staff whisks Paul Maurice into the room. He speaks to the media, and they whisk him out. There's no opportunity anymore for, hey, they miss you in Winnipeg, Paul. Like, it's just the opportunity's not there like it used to be. It is what it is. I'm sure somebody ruined it somewhere along the line. That's why. Usually how it go. I think I know who it was. Ken in Mississauga writes in and he says, that FAU stadium looks amazing. But here's it's America. You all think that it's gun violence and fighting and rallies. It's not. For me, FAU Stadium is 1.8 miles away. I know because I've walked it / ran it. It's a 33,000-seat stadium that looks brand new, but it's not. It's almost 15 years of age. Same size as Mosaic Stadium. Absolutely gorgeous. With beautiful luxury suites, great press box, and nobody even knows about it. You can't even see it from the freeway. Just nestled in the middle of campus. No big deal. Howard K. Schnellenberger Stadium. They take their sports very serious down here. You know, that's another thing. I was watching the Blue Jays game last night, and I was thinking about when they're fielding the grounders, how good the field is. And the high school team that I announced baseball for, there's 3 former major leaguers' kids on the team, the Wellington Wolverines. Somebody asked me in the WCBL this summer, they said, how would those kids feel about our diamonds up here? I said, they wouldn't walk on them. They're a little spoiled. They're a little rich. But in the Canadian ballparks, you feel in the grounder, you're taking your life into your hand. Here it's like it's a carpet. You spend a lot of money on it. It's a lot of people. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, you can't get into the Brand Center for $25? Man, the Pats ownership group just doesn't get it, do they? Not going there. I think the preseason games were $25 or $20. Because I will say this, I went in and bought tickets for the preseason game. Me and Mydale, Mike Lee, and some of the staff ran out and said, oh, here's a coupon for $5 off. Thanks. It was like $15 for the intra-squad game. I think it was $25 for the exhibition. Yeah. Don't get me. And don't say that I don't buy tickets for the games, because I do. For my own reasons, but largely so the Karens can't say to me, well, you don't buy your tickets, so you shouldn't have an opinion. Kirk in Toronto says, hey, Rod, do you miss the Dodge Hornet from Western Dodge? I do, because it has the corrective steering. So if I ever like nodded off or was going out of my lane, it would wake you would like back to reality driving a 2004 Jeep Wrangler TJ here. There ain't no luxuries in that baby. But I did enjoy it going down to the Keys with it. It was a lot smoother ride than I thought it would be. I haven't had it down to the Keys before. So yeah, I do miss it. That thing had all the comforts from Western Dodge. Reasonably priced. The Dodge Hornet Hybrid. John in Edmonton says, people in Edmonton only care about the Oilers, Rod. Just look at the attendance for the Oil Kings or Elks. This is news. We've known that forever. But thank you, John, for chiming in. Thanks to Craig Button. Thanks to Kevin the Medium. Tomorrow it'll be Ball for All with Jim Barker. And Kevin the Medium will be back with us. Take care of yourself and each other, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow here on Game Plus.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?